State of Israel and the Jewish people, I say this: we will always stand firmly alongside you. You can count on us today, tomorrow, and always.
As if our lawmakers in Washington weren't subservient enough to the Israeli government, two AIPAC-funded representatives are now proposing a bill that would block federal financial aid to universities that decide to cut ties with Israel. It's amazing. So one of the sponsors is the woman you just heard from, Republican Virginia Foxx. The other is actually a Democratic lawmaker, unsurprisingly, Josh Gottheimer. He's been complete garbage on this issue. On Tuesday, Representatives Foxx and Gottheimer introduced the Protect Economic and Academic Freedom Act of 2025. Let's pause. I'm going to bring this graphic back up in a second, but I have to just say, economic and academic freedom? You guys want to punish universities who are so disgusted with the atrocities carried out by Israel that they no longer want to invest in Israel. You're going to punish them. How is that economic or academic freedom? These people are the worst. Okay, let's put that graphic back up. It's a bill that would cut off federal funds to any college that boycotts Israel or imposes limits on academic cooperation with Israeli institutions. Why? So they can propagate their lies and brainwash American students into thinking that Israel's our greatest ally, even as they take our money to commit atrocities in the Middle East. The bill would require colleges to annually certify that they will not engage in a non-expressive commercial boycott of Israel or companies and other entities licensed by Israel. Any university that refuses to do business with Israeli entities other than a valid business reason would be made ineligible for Title IX. No, I'm sorry. That's 9, right? No, yes, it is. Title IX financial aid programs, including Pell Grants and I'm sorry, it's Title VI. Yeah, Title VI, Pell Grants and student loans. So obviously the intention of the bill is to scare other colleges away from, breaking their ties with Israel despite growing pressure from student activists to do so. I think our university system is it's done. Enrollment is down considerably. These universities don't stand for anything. And if they do want to stand for something, we have a Congress that's actively trying to prevent them from doing so. I'd be like, this is amazing. So they're threatening to block financial aid, and it would be absolutely disastrous to the students who would need that financial aid in order to be able to go to college. Undergraduate students received $16,360 in financial aid on average in the 2023-2024 school year, according to College Board. So why are Foxx and Gottheimer even pushing this legislation? Who are they to meddle in the financial decisions of university campuses? I mean, they certainly haven't given a damn about universities price gouging the hell out of American students, helping them to dig themselves into a massive financial hole that they can't get out of. They don't want to intervene on those issues, God forbid. Gottheimer is one of AIPAC's top allies in Congress, of course he is, and has received over $1 million in campaign funding from the group's donor network over his career. Our government is occupied by Israel. Let's be clear about that. Foxx, a senior member of the House Education and the Workforce Committee, received more than $92,000 from AIPAC-PAC's donors in the 2024 cycle alone. One election cycle alone. And look, unfortunately, it's not just federal lawmakers looking to crack down on criticism of Israel on college campuses. In some cases, the censorship is happening in-house. And I think Harvard's a great example of that. It's pathetic. So Harvard, for example, has this initiative at Harvard, an initiative created to study the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, was stripped down after allegations of bias and anti-Semitism. See, if you're talking about Israel at all on a college campus, all you can do is talk about how wonderful Israel is. God forbid you ever talk about any of the atrocities the IDF has engaged in or the far right settlers have engaged. God forbid, you can't do that. You can't do that. I remember being in grad school. I don't even know how this happened, okay? I got a political science degree, master's degree. It wasn't really that useful, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, there were a few political scholars that I was exposed to as a result of getting that education that I'm very grateful for. John Mearsheimer happened to be one of them. So we were able to read the Israel lobby in essay form. It first came out as an essay, and then Mearsheimer and Walt put out a whole book titled The Israel Lobby, which I highly recommend everyone read. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is super interesting. It's well sourced. They show their work. And this seems to be a big problem in our government. And every student was either silent because they were afraid to be critical of the Israel lobby, or they condemned the political scientists behind that essay. I was super young and I did not have the confidence to debate anybody in class. I was only like 20 years old. I got my college degree very early because I went to high school and college at the same time. Anyway, whatever. But my point is, I wish I knew the things that I know now to be able to debate those students because they were wrong. I can't imagine the Israel lobby being assigned at Harvard at this point. So back to this story. Harvard's Divinity School's Religion and Public Life program launched 5 years ago with the lofty goal of advancing the public understanding of religion in service of a just world at peace. The program offers a master's degree for roughly a dozen students per year, a certificate program, and events and courses for students across the campus. So as part of their pro-peace mission, the program ran annual trips to Israel and the occupied West Bank, where students met with politicians, farmers, artists, and human rights groups. But the trip and a related course on the Israel-Palestinian conflict were put on pause in March amid what the school described as substantial adjustments to religion and public life. On March 28th, 2 weeks after the Trump administration announced it was investigating Harvard over alleged mishandling of anti-Semitism, the Divinity School issued an update saying that the program's curriculum would be overhauled and the Religion, Conflict, and Peace Initiative would be paused to rethink its focus. I mean, they committed a terrible act, right? They had the audacity to send students to the occupied West Bank to speak to Palestinians who have been dealing with decades of occupation by the Israeli government and the IDF. We can't get that side of the story. But when it comes to propaganda trips that American Jews go on, birthright, that's what it's called. When it comes to the propaganda trips to Israel that our politicians go on, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Since January, all three of the program's leaders and most of its staff were left. And basically, they have left. They haven't had their contracts renewed. And now former faculty members are speaking out, thankfully, and they're sharing concerns that Harvard is caving to outside pressure because they are. It's obvious. Hussein Rashid, the program's former assistant dean who resigned from his post in January and left at the end of June, told NBC News, "Nobody came to our defense. Our students were fantastic. Our administrators were cowards." Of course, critics of the program, including some Jewish students and organizations, are absolutely thrilled at this censorship to see that this program was overhauled. They say it invited one-sided anti-Semitic speakers to give book talks and webinars and encourage students to reject Zionism. Harvard's April report on anti-Semitism singled out the program and said it was biased against Israel. Why do American students at Ivy Leagues have to support Zionism? Why is that required? If you're a Jewish American and you support Zionism, all the power to you, bro. Great. I don't think American students need to be forced into supporting anything, including Zionism. And how one-sided is it when they only hear the pro-Zionist argument, while the stories and the reality of the Palestinian people is being censored? Seems pretty entitled, seems propagandistic. The program was cited in a lawsuit by former Divinity School student Shabbos Kestenbaum, who got his ass handed to him by me on Piers Morgan's show, not once but twice. He is a pathetic little troll who just repeats the same talking points over and over again and thinks that he's making good points simply because he's the Timu version of Ben Shapiro. Easy to dismantle his talking points. We've heard the same points over and over again. He's pathetic. I also called him a bitch on Piers Morgan because that's what he is. But 6 alumni of the program did tell NBC News they adamantly disagree. They say the overhaul was unnecessary because the program was already incorporating multiple viewpoints and encouraged students to think critically, which is what you should get at any university. You're supposed to debate things. You're supposed to get different perspectives. That's the reason why I defended people like Ben Shapiro or Ann Coulter, people I disagree with vehemently, when they were protested at university campuses and when they weren't allowed to speak. I don't like their ideas, but they should be allowed to speak. But I would venture to say that Ben Shapiro probably loves the fact that this program got censored, that it was overhauled to the detriment of the Palestinian perspective and to the benefit of Israelis. I'm sure he loves that because censorship is okay as long as it's convenient and benefits him. All right, so the program will continue to operate under new leadership this fall, but with significant changes. The final thing that I want to say is, look, this active campaign to censor a pretty important side to this conflict, it touches every facet of life, universities, media. And now universities are not the only institutions ramping up their censorship of Israel criticism. As I covered yesterday, TikTok has hired a former IDF soldier as their new hate speech manager to censor anyone who's critical of the Israeli government. And independent journalist James Lee made a video about the woman's background. Then he posted on X, just got off the phone with a TikTok insider warning me that they are in the process of doing a full sweep to ban accounts that have posted anti-Israel, pro-Palestine content, and that I should probably delete this post right away. Well, there you have it. What are they trying to hide? Why are they so obsessed with censoring an entire perspective on this entire decades-long conflict? I think we all know the answer. The thing is, none of these people have any control over us, which is why I get to run my mouth as much as I want, and I will continue to do so.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.